Well, welcome back to the shed. Sorry it's been a while, and my arthritis has been playing me up something terrible in both hands, and it makes it difficult to work on anything like this. But this little Ferguson 3T11 has come in for repairs, and it's a AM FM radio cassette recorder made in 1980 or thereabouts. You can see there, pretty high quality mechanism. Now, a lot of this earlier kit used these little motors which have an inbuilt mechanical governor. I call them governator motors. And there's an ingenious little spring-loaded contact, sometimes two, and if it goes too fast, contact is broken and the motor slows down. There isn't even a pop, because they even think to put a capacitor across it. Talk about over-engineered. But in time, these things give trouble. Well, not surprisingly, the belts are a bit slack. Most of these machines used at, well, all cassette decks actually use one belt at least, but some are gear driven, which this one is to an extent, being a slightly later one. And you can hear there the whirring noise that comes from the motor, and this is after oiling. And if I pick it up, I can actually feel it vibrating. It's not running smoothly. Well, of course, that in turn will transmit itself into wow and flutter on the tape, which you don't want. I have to say the rest of this machine is in beautiful condition. It's come in as a repair, actually. It's very nice and clean inside. So the owner should be very happy indeed when he gets it back. Like most of the Ferguson designs from the 80s, I suspect it may be a JVC design because the speaker's JVC. And of course, the old Ferguson Video Star video machine that some of us old farts remember was really a JVC design, rebadged as English as a Ferguson. Rather like the Honda Concerto and the Rover 216. A lot of the 216s had Honda engines in them, and it was part of a tie-up in an attempt to improve reliability, which it mostly did, I have to say. But alas, we all know what happened to Rover. Not really sure if Ferguson are still going. They made some very nice stuff in their time. They're usually cows to work on. This was a bit of a pig to open up, for example. But this motor, well, you can just hear how noisy that is. So what to do? Well, of course, the answer is to replace it with a more modern unit. You've got to be careful which way it spins. This one is spinning clockwise as you look at it from the top where the pulley is, and it just so happens that I've got a 6-volt clockwise electronic control motor here. Philips pretty well used electronic control from the start. Only their EL3300 cassette recorder, the very first one they ever made, as far as I know, had a governator motor in it, and this was carried over from some of their really ancient battery operated transistorized record players made in the early 60s. But even though the Philips system had its problems, there was a separate control module and a pot on there, which in time used to get a bit jittery. And I've replaced many of those with sealed vertical pots that mean it doesn't give any more trouble. They had a very elaborate reversing switch as well. Many of the early Japanese machines were a carbon copy of the old Philips EL3300 inside, and of course they could get away with it because they used the governator motor. It didn't matter if you put the volts through it the wrong way to get the rewind, like you did on the Philips electronic system, it would take it. You didn't need the switching gear. Oh well, amazing the rubbish I remember. Anyway, thing is to get this thing soldered in, and the speed will probably need to be reset. That's often the case. This deck's unusual for a little portable in that it has a flat belt. It's obviously got some fairly posh ideas, and you can see there for yourself how heavy the metal is that it's made of. You just didn't get that in the end, and if you look inside today's crapophone cassette decks, for example, they are truly mere shadows of what once was. Anyway, with that cynical expression, I'll leave you and see you soon.